Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and do you remember when Lucio had his own breakfast cereal? You see, the Overwatch franchise, they're no stranger to making merchandise, from making plushies to creating clothes, and especially selling tons of Funko Pops. There's countless things that the Overwatch franchise has inspired to try to sell to their consumers. They even made a whole entire cookbook where they had recipes inspired by Overwatch heroes and where they're from. And if you're watching this video, I want to safely assume that you've at least gotten one thing from the Overwatch franchise, whether you've bought it or gotten it as a gift. But one thing that is probably one of the coolest and admittedly most randomest merchandise created from the Overwatch universe is a breakfast cereal that was created by a DJ skating frog guy named Lucio. And the breakfast cereal that I'm talking about is of course called Lucio O's, a take on a cliche breakfast cereal that you typically find at the supermarket. Now, originally the concept of Lucio O's was just that, a concept that took the form of a spray and a voice line in Overwatch 1, and then later on a souvenir in Overwatch 2. It wasn't a real cereal, it wasn't a real thing, it was just this made up thing that Lucio apparently had because he was just that famous in Brazil and across the whole entire Overwatch world. So the only thing that we actually see in regards of Lucio O's is his spray that sports this bright highlight yellow cereal box with Lucio, of course, on the cover holding a bowl of Lucio Oh cereal. And still to this very day, this spray is one of my favorite sprays in the whole entire game just because of how cute of a parody this is. I mean, I literally grew up on breakfast cereal and watching Pokemon and SpongeBob on Saturday mornings, so this is just something that just brings me back to my childhood. But the thing is, it was just that, a parody. It wasn't supposed to be a real thing, and it was even amplified more of a parody in the form of Lucio O's most famous voice line.
Have some Lucio O's!
Some people say boop, and some people say the Lucio O's voice line is his best voice line, but you cannot deny that this still is one of the most iconic voice lines in the whole entire game. But besides these few cosmetics that called out the DJ cereal, there was no other information. No nutrition facts, no flavor even, no nothing. We were only left to our own imagination of dreaming what Lucio's cereal would actually taste like. But then, during BlizzCon 2018, the biggest announcement in Overwatch's history would be made.
So amp up your breakfast with a sonic boost and have some Lucio O's. Oh yeah, one more thing.
The Overwatch team unveiled the Lucio O's cereal commercial. A commercial that had Lucio advertising his in-game cereal now to the masses in real life, and at BlizzCon 2018 giving away boxes of Lucio O's cereal. They actually did it. They made Lucio O's into a real cereal. Now, at the time, this cereal was exclusive to all people that went to BlizzCon in 2018, but later in December, the Overwatch team and Kellogg's would actually work together to bring Lucio O's cereal to a store near you. And if you were to ask me when Overwatch peaked, it would be at this very moment, when Lucio O's cereal released to the public. And on December 3rd of 2018, Lucio O's cereal finally hit the shelves, luring kids into the toxic world of Overwatch with one spoonful at a time. And I remember when Lucio's first came out, I was in college just scouring my small town just trying to find what store would even have Lucio O's cereal, because you won't experience peak embarrassment until you go to your local grocery store asking the cashier, so my favorite video game character Lucio just made a cereal. Do you have Lucio O's? But then I quickly found out that Walmart sold Lucio O's, so I put in an online order so that it wouldn't sell out, and then it sold out almost immediately. And they sold a family size of Lucio O's for $3.98, a total steal for how much cereal goes for nowadays. And then when I went to go pick up my Lucio O's cereal from Walmart, I noticed that the box didn't look anything like the Lucio O's cereal box in game. The box wasn't yellow, Lucio wasn't in his cartoon form. It looked like a typical modern day cereal, which I guess makes sense. You know, Kellogg's, they're trying to advertise this box of cereal to kids in the supermarket, and they want to get the point across that this is like an actual legitimate cereal and not just a cartoon box. But no box of cereal is complete without the toy or prize inside, and the prize that you get with every box of Lucio O cereal is a loot box, back when Overwatch still had loot boxes. Oh, I miss loot
boxes and Lucio Oh-Ohs.
Now, at first glance, you might confuse Lucio Oh-Ohs with Fruit Loops because they have a similar shape, but the flavor is anything but fruity, but rather a flavor called Sonic Vanilla. Whatever the heck that means. I guess it's supposed to be a play on one of his abilities, his Sonic Amplifier. But it's weird because on the box, it has the logo for his Crossfade ability, not his Sonic Amplifier. So I don't really know what's going on here. And on the side of the box, you have the nutrition facts, which is surprisingly good compared to other cereals. I mean, you only get 110 calories with only 10 grams of sugar and 2 grams of protein. So if you want to bulk up, this is the food that you want to eat. But the fun don't end there because on the back of the box, you can create your own Lucio skin, which is just so adorable. I can only imagine 5-year-olds drawing outside line and creating some obscure color combinations for a Lucio skin where the Overwatch team could potentially steal the skin and then later on sell it in Overwatch 2 for 1,000 Overwatch 2 coins. And you can also get a free download of Lucio's album because, well, he is a DJ after all. But after you're done with the box, the only thing left to do is to, well, eat the cereal. And you're probably wondering, what does Lucio Oh's taste like? And, well, it tastes like Sonic Vanilla, but in all reality, it tastes like a vanilla milkshake. I used 2% milk when I ate Lucio's cereal, and it tastes just like that, vanilla. It's honestly really good, but my favorite part about the cereal is that's not too sugary compared to other breakfast cereals that's on the market today, like Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I don't know about you guys, but when I wake up for my 8 a.m. college courses, the last thing that I want is a mouthful of sugar. And luckily, Lucio Oh's cereal is anything but that. It definitely reminds me of Fruit Loops just because it has the same exact texture and size. It just has a vanilla flavor. And while I definitely could be biased when saying this, it was definitely one of my favorite limited time breakfast cereals and just one of my favorite limited time foods. I remember back in the early 2000s when Pokemon made Pop-Tarts and cereal and even had its own noodles, and I just wish I could even remember trying to eat one of those Pop-Tarts. But this I remember distinctly, and even just looking at the box, it just takes me back to a time of when Overwatch was cool. Like, this was cool. This was peak product placement, peak advertising, and just a peak video game. It just seemed like the Overwatch team really cared to make cool things, whether it was in-game or in real life. And this breakfast cereal was an example of that. But unfortunately, this was a limited time cereal, and just like all breakfast foods, eventually the food was either going to expire or be eaten. And after the beginning of 2018, Lucio Oh cereal would be discontinued and never to be seen again. That is until now. I managed to find myself an unopened box of Lucio Oh cereal from 2018, and I want to experience this and to go back to a time of when Overwatch was the best video game to play, along with having a cereal that was the best to eat in the whole entire breakfast aisle. So let's pour a bowl of Lucio Oh cereal and have a heaping spoonful of the best breakfast cereal of all time.